Hello and welcome to the LL Football Preview Show on GameTimePA. I'm John Buffone, and with me today is Pat Huggins and Andrew Callahan of Lebanon Daily News. And today we're going to be talking about Section 3. This is a very interesting section because a lot of people think it's up for grabs and there's no clear-cut favorite. Now, gentlemen, a lot of these teams are in your neck of the woods, so I'm going to just turn it over to you. Who's your front runner for this section this year?
I would kind of lean between three teams, actually: Anvil, Cleona, Elko, and I have to give Donegal some consideration for that as well. I agree. I think it's a toss-up. I think it'd be an interesting race. Northern Lebanon, of course, is a defending champion, and you can't count them out completely, but lost a lot of skill guys, so I think they have a little bit to prove. Quarterback Isaac Ray, running back Dominic Trader, and receiver Mason Yost all graduated, all big playmakers for the Vikes, so they got some work to do there. Anvil got a lot of guys back from a team that went to the district playoffs, new head coach and Matt Gingrich. That'll be an interesting transition. And down at Elko, again, some great skill guys down there. Jeff Martin heading into his fourth year as a varsity quarterback. He's got two good running backs in Travis Zimmerman and Tyler Horse, so I think you got to throw them into the mix as well. But it'll be very interesting.
And I'm actually start with the reigning champs. I got to stop by practice the other day, and they're a confident bunch. You wouldn't have known that they lost three all-county players at very specific, important positions. But the biggest thing for them, as Coach Roy Wall said, we still got our nuts and bolts. And what he means by that is the top 6 out of their 8 linemen are back. Offense and defense, and 7 of those kids are seniors. So up front, they're going to be okay, and we know if there's one spot where you're not, that's where it's going to show. So now it's a matter of who's filling in for all the players you just mentioned, Pat. You got to start with Isaac Wenger, who's going to be a senior now after backing up Ray for 2 years. His play will obviously be pivotal. They got a transfer from CD coming in, Dylan Weaver, who's been touted as very fast, put him in the backfield and out wide. And a couple guys in that backfield. Luke Funk, Noah Smith returner. Smith averaged nearly 9 yards per carry a year ago. Defensively, they'll both be around the linebacker level. And in the secondary, there are some question marks. We know the Vikes like to bring some pressure. There could be some problems if their new cornerbacks get burned when they bring the blitz and then have the ball go over top. But otherwise, I'm with you, Pat. I think Elko can be in the mix. Anvil, Donegal, too. A little bit of a down year for them. And then, John, talking with you, I heard some good things about the Braves down there in Pequea.
I'm telling you what, I stopped by the practice over at Kinzer's, the metropolis of Kinzer's, talking to head coach Mike Choi, who's in his second year as a head coach. He came over from Great Valley, left a quad A school to come to a double A school. Last year they go 5-5. Now, for the people who aren't familiar with the Pequea Valley program, they have never had a winning season. They started their program in 1999. They've had 2 5-5 records since then, never had a winning season. Last year they went 5-5. They were a double overtime loss away from going 6-5 and probably making the playoffs. But there's a lot of excitement out there. They moved quarterback Gabe Allgaier to fullback, and they brought in, they didn't bring in, but sophomore quarterback Jordan Lapp will be taking over the duties under center. And they are relatively big up front. I was impressed when I went out there. Their line has a lot of beef to it. And there's just a different attitude there. They all believe in it. The coaching staff believes in themselves. I'm not saying they're going to win the section, but if I'm going to make a bold prediction right now, and I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm going to tell everybody watching this, for the first time in history, I'm predicting that Pequea Valley will have a winning record. They will go at least 6-5 because you look down the schedule. I found 6 games. I'm not going to call anyone out, but I saw at least 6 games that I think they can win. So I think this would be a monumental year in Pequea Valley. Whether they make the playoffs or not with that is a different story, but I think they're at least going to have a winning record. And fellas, being around enough sports to know that it's a cultural thing sometimes as much as a numbers game. If a school like Pequea Valley could get a winning season first time, because most of these kids weren't even born when they started the program in 1999, so they've never experienced it. What would it do, I think, as a culture change moving for something like that?
I think it's huge, and if they are able to do it, it could lead to success down the road. And if you are that team that finally gets Pequea Valley a winning record and goes to districts, you'll remember that forever. And again, that can have great impact going forward.
I think one thing that could work against them, though, in chatting with certain coaches around the LL, I asked them, who might be your surprise team this year? And a couple of them said Pequea. So the surprise factor might have been blown away from last year's 5-5 record. John, you mentioned only second time in program history. So when they're coming in, people know what they're capable of. And now it's just a matter of going toe-to-toe and winning those games that can go to double overtime, could go either way, and having them fall in the Braves' favor.
And talking to some of the kids there, they understand the cultural impact it could have, because talking to some of the upperclassmen, they said, well, usually somebody will ask how the soccer team's doing, because Peckaway Valley, fantastic boys soccer program, and they said now they're asking us about football. And they said if we did this winning record, not only will it be great personally, but we can set the foundation for more players to come out, more athletes to start playing football. So they're also aware of what they're playing for, not just for themselves, but what they're playing for culturally and for generations to come. So it's going to be an interesting story in Kinzers this year, and I just wanted to make sure that we did be able to talk about that. So. Bottom line, if you had to, right now, I know it's very early and the season hasn't even started. Heck, practices have barely started yet.
This is what we do, though.
But this is what we do. We're basically like weathermen here, predicting stuff. Who's going to take this section?
I'm going to go with Anvil Cleona, and my big reason for that is they do have a new head coach in Matt Gingrich, but he's a very energetic guy, a knowledgeable guy. I think he'll bring a lot of energy to the program. Terry Lehman, of course, was a great coach for Anvil for many, many years. But I think Matt brings a kind of a new attitude there. And the other thing is that they have some quality players back who've tasted the district playoffs, and I think they have the ability. It won't be easy, but I think they could be there at the end.
We were just talking Section 2 a little while ago. It might not be quite a demolition derby, but I'm going to go with Elko. I think this is another section that might be up for grabs, and it's not very often you get to say fourth-year starting quarterback Jeff Martin, but that's exactly what the Raiders have. He's got some help in the backfield, and it's just a matter of solidifying that front. But when things break down, I think you wouldn't rather, if you're a Raider fan, anyone else at the helm than Martin. I think they pull out some games, especially at home, and find themselves the top Section 3 by year's end.
I'm a big fan of the Gingrich coaching tree, and I think that Matt's going to bring a lot from Cocalco to Anvil Cleona. It sometimes when you get a different face in there or a different kind of person talking to you, it can light a different fire under somebody. So I'm going to go with Anvil Cleona. I'm not going to say it's going to be a runaway, because I think it could come down to the last week or the week before that, but I will go with AC. All right, well, that about wraps it up for Section 3. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the LL Football Preview Show on GameTimePA. For Pat Huggins, Andrew Callahan, I'm John Buffone. We'll see you next time.